me all over. The fumes from the paint were horrible. The cook cried out, "Oh, please, stop it, stop it." But he only shook his head and said, "Not yet." Then suddenly he put me back into the oven, only this time it was different than the first time. This time it was hotter than the first. I knew that I would just suffocate. I begged, I pleaded, I screamed, I cried. I was convinced that I would never make it. I was ready to give up, and then the door opened, and he took me out again and placed me on the shelf where I cooled and waited, wondering what he was going to do to me next. So an hour later, the master came back and handed the cook a mirror and said, "Look at yourself." And I said to myself, "That is not me. That couldn't be me. After all I've been through, after all the lies I've told, after all the lies I've said, after all the cheating I've done, that can't be me. It's beautiful." Then he looked at himself and said, "I'm beautiful." Quietly, he spoke to the cook. He said, "I want you to remember." And then he said, "I know it hurt to be rolled and pounded and patted, but had I just left you alone, you would have dried up. I know it made you dizzy to spin around with a wheel, but had I just left you alone, you would have. I know it hurt and it was hot and disagreeable in the oven, but had I put you there, you would have cracked. I know the fumes were bad when I brushed you and painted you all over, but had I not done it, you would have just hardened. You would not have had any color in your life if I had not painted you. And if I hadn't put you in the second oven, you wouldn't have survived for long because the hardness would not